What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including CM Punk is returning to AEW. Is AEW considering a roster split? WWE replaces the King of the Ring PLE in Saudi Arabia. Has a former WWE star retired? A former superstar in court? And much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. And now let's do the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at AEW preparing for CM Punk's return. Atop of today's news is a blockbuster report that AEW is preparing for CM Punk's return to the company. The story involves several elements, including AEW's efforts to reach a reconciliation between Punk and aggrieved parties, and a secondary plan involving a roster split and a Saturday night show. Let's look at each element and how it ties in with AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery's wish to bring Punk back. Firstly, can AEW stop its civil war? First and foremost is whether AEW can repair the damage caused due to the animosity between CM Punk and several AEW wrestlers, including Adam Page, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho. AEW is still recovering from a backstage brawl that followed CM Punk's tirade during the all-out media scrum, but as we'll see, it appears Tony Khan and Warner Executive feels it's worth the effort to bring Punk back into the fold. Fightful Select is reporting, those we've spoken to confirm that CM Punk has been hoping to work with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but we've heard of no contact between the two sides. The last we'd heard, the Elite were not keen on the possibility of working with him. AEW sources indicate that Punk had been trying to push for a meeting between everyone for quite a while, but we haven't heard if any progress has been made. It's worth noting that Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are in the middle of negotiating new contracts with AEW. CM Punk's return could boost AEW's ratings and ticket sales. However, is AEW willing to lose Omega and the Bucks if they refuse to work alongside Punk? As we'll see, that might not actually be an issue. As next up, AEW considering a roster split. If AEW wants CM Punk back and attempts at a reconciliation fail, AEW could go to plan B that involves a roster split. One way to keep Punk and the Elite happy would be to keep them on separate shows. Right now that could be difficult as only AEW has 2 shows. However, the ongoing rumors of an upcoming Saturday night show are now fueling speculation about a roster split. Fightful Select recently reported, there's been a lot more traction within Warner Bros. Discovery about an impending announcement of a primetime Saturday show being designed for a bit of a soft roster split to accommodate the preferences of talent who want to stay separate of a particular situation, though talent haven't been informed of that. Talent we've spoke to have heard the discussions about a new show but haven't heard about Punk's possible impending return. Fans who like to read between the lines of reports likely noticed the phrase to accommodate the preferences of talent who wanted to stay separate of the particular situations. One possibility is that the Saturday show could be used to feature CM Punk and wrestlers who are comfortable working with him, that being FTR's Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Whether or not a potential roster split would work is anyone's guess, as Meltzer discussed this in the latest Observer. History does show that the splitting crews never last long, but in this case the idea is to ease the dressing room problems in the sense those who have not made up would be kept on different crews and who wouldn't have to interact with each other. Still, there are going to be instances such as pay-per-view shows or Wembley Stadium and some television shows where it has to be all hands on deck. Punk could provide a big boost to a Saturday show, at least in the short run. There are many unknowns regarding the Saturday show. For example, what's the show's length? 1 hour? 2 hours? Would a roster split do much to help a 1 hour show? It's unknown if Punk's rumored return is based on how talks between Punk and various parties go. Another unknown is how much pressure WBD is putting on Tony Khan to resolve this issue. Meltzer also pointed out that a Saturday show will face stiff opposition from sports programming as well as pay-per-views from UFC and WWE. Now, if Punk does return, Fightful reports it's likely to happen at AEW's Dynamite episode on 21st June in Chicago. If so, expect AEW to drop some not-so-subtle hints that Punk is returning. Bringing him back is a bold and high-risk move. The payoff could be tremendous. AEW could regain the momentum it lost when Punk was suspended following the all-out media scrum and backstage brawl. They have the upcoming Wembley show to fill and a potential new night of TV to promote. Unfortunately, Punk's return could create more problems than his last run. Is there any reason to think that he'll get along with other wrestlers and vice versa? Punk certainly hasn't kept quiet during his AEW absence, making waves with his criticism of AEW wrestlers. What's to stop Punk from doing so again? What's to stop other angry wrestlers from sabotaging Punk's comeback? What do you think of Punk's return to AEW? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE replacing King of the Ring PLE in Saudi Arabia. The WWE is scrapping its King of the Ring show, but fans looking forward to the upcoming May PLE in Saudi Arabia need not worry. While they're canning the King of the Ring Queen's Crown event, it's airing Night of Champions in its place. The May 27th premium live event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia will now be WWE Night of Champions. There are currently no reports on why the WWE changed their show's name. It's also unknown if this means the WWE is scrapping the King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournaments. Finally, it's unknown who decided the name change. As you might imagine, there are plenty of questions to ask regarding why the WWE changed the name of its PLE. Fans in the wrestling media are likely already asking if this was a Mr. McMahon decision. Likewise, if the WWE abandons the King and Queen tournaments. The tournaments are not a Triple H idea, but the game was planning to continue the tradition, which raises questions about why it's suddenly being dropped. Night of Champions traditionally features title defenses for every WWE championship. If they continue this tradition, it'll be interesting to see who challenges for the WWE's various belts. Also, this date marks Roman Reigns' 1000th day as Universal Champion. Might something happen that day? Next up is Edge retiring soon. Edge's retirement is reportedly going to happen this summer, but will it be a retirement from wrestling or merely a WWE retirement following a jump to AEW? Edge has been talking about his retirement since last year, stating he wants to wrestle his last match in Toronto. Since then, rumors have surfaced that the Rated R superstar wants to work at least one more match with his friend and tag team partner Christian. This has led to rumors Edge might end his run in WWE but jump to AEW. Russell Votes recently told Give Me Sport, if he retires this summer in Toronto, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if he finishes his current deal and then goes to AEW. WWE would be surprised too. Even if you got your Christian factor, you know, they could team one more time and wrestle each other one more time. I'd be surprised if he wrestles past WWE. WWE would be very surprised as well. Next up is Mickie James retiring. Now, Edge may not be the only wrestling veteran about to retire, as Mickie James could be hanging up her boots and her cowboy hat. The 43-year-old veteran left fans guessing after she relinquished her Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship on this week's episode of Impact. Mickie was scheduled to defend the belt against Deonna Purrazzo and Jordynne Grace at Impact's Rebellion pay-per-view. However, she's not medically cleared to compete due to several injuries. According to PW Mania, James revealed earlier this month that she has a minor shoulder tear, 3 broken rib caps, and possibly a torn pectoral muscle, but she was able to work the February and March TV tapings, but not the Multiverse United pay-per-view at the end of March. She cut a promo in an empty arena announcing she was giving up her title. She then left her cowboy hat and title belt in the ring, leading to questions whether this was her way of signaling her retirement from the squared circle. Like many wrestlers, James has teased retirement before. She recently worked in a program where she vowed to retire if she did not capture the Knockouts Championship. It isn't the first time she's been sidelined with an injury, but it remains to be seen if she's considering retirement or whether this is just an angle. Next up, uncertainty on Gunther vs Brock match happening at SummerSlam. Now, there are conflicting reports continuing regarding whether the WWE is planning on a Gunther vs Lesnar match at SummerSlam. Meltzer is reporting, right now there are no plans for Lesnar vs Gunther at SummerSlam or Lesnar vs Gunther at any time soon. Of course that can change because it's a viable match, but if Lesnar is scheduled on SummerSlam, there is already a direction that it isn't Gunther. Next up, a Jeff Hardy update. Jeff Hardy is back in AEW, but is he ready to rumble? Not according to a report from Fightful Select which states that Jeff is still recovering from his recent eye injury. It's unknown when he'll be ready for wrestling or what AEW intends him to have him do. While he may not be ready for matches, he did perform a swanton, which invites questions about why he performed the move if he's still recovering from surgery. They may want to work closely with Jeff to make sure he doesn't take unnecessary bumps or continue performing his Daredevil style that's led him to chronic pain. And finally, a former superstar now in court. A PW Insider states that Tammy Sytch was in court recently for the pre-trial hearing and that she has an upcoming court date on 16th August. On 16th August, Sytch will have to enter a plea or advise the court whether she's ready for trial. She faces a long list of charges including DUI manslaughter for her alleged role in a traffic accident that killed a 75-year-old Julian Laster. But there you have it folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.